Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV to our friends in Sioux Falls, KNBN in western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week, the 24th day of July, 2026. Here in studio to wrap up on a parking lot edition of our show, which means everybody getting a head start on the weekend. No problem with that at all. We've only got a few of them left before it is football season, which officially begins for us next week. Great to be with everyone on a Friday. We got a lot to unpack and get ready for the final non-football weekend of your lives until Valentine's Day, because the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day this year, if you didn't know that. Because this time next week, the Vikes will be practicing, the Bison, UND will be practicing, and then we'll have games 2 weeks from last night. We'll have a football game. So, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. That doesn't mean the baseball season is over by any stretch of the imagination, and yet the Twins have decided to reel us in at least for another 10 days or so. Trade deadline is August the 3rd, which will be a heavy topic with our guy Cory Provus coming up later on in our first hour on. They're right in that middle ground, not decisive either way, where they were 7-0 out of the All-Star break, and they're right in it, or 1-6 or 0-7. No, they went 3-4 on that road swing to start out of the All-Star break. So they're still kind of hovering, which we'll show you what happened yesterday. A great game in Cleveland coming up there. Unbelievable scoring at the 3M Open. No surprise there. We'll get you the highlights from day one. Day two is already underway. Record crowds there, as we were talking yesterday with Sam Getzinger about, with Scotty Scheffler being there. That only seemed reasonable that was going to happen down in Blaine. Scheffler plays this afternoon after he went out early this morning. That's more for television here later today when the TV cameras get going with their golf coverage this afternoon. We'll have a couple other local baseball updates as well, because we're getting to that time. We had the great Slick Miller on with us yesterday. We're into that time for the Legion season. We don't cover, and I got a couple messages on this, and throughout the time we've done this program on Legion baseball, the Redhawks, and there's a couple reasons for that, asking why we don't do more with it. And my simple reasoning on the Redhawks especially is that it is more entertainment than it is sports or news sports. And what I mean by that is, and it's not to demean anybody that plays on them, Coast and I are as tight as can be, right? I've known Coast since I got here. 20 years, Chris was playing with the Phillies when I got here. To me, the Redhawks always seem like it's an outlet for people to get outdoors. Like this past week when they were at home, that is a perfect example of getting out there and enjoying the beautiful weather we had the last couple of days, rather than, I know there's a small group, and I would say small group, that die hard with every stat and record-wise. And I'd say the same is true with Legion baseball. And there are pockets of it that are popular than others. And we've covered when Fargo Post 2 or Fargo Post 400 made it to the American Legion World Series over the last few years, because that's a newsy item. That is worth our attention on this program. It's a big deal. But on a daily basis, to me, it doesn't rise to that, because I wanted to address that because we got a couple comments over the last little bit. And I'm sure people are, what are we talking football for in the middle of July? Well, football's a big bleeping deal around here, whether it's, if you're talking Division 3, 2, or 1, or now FBS football for North Dakota State. It just goes with the territory of what we discuss here. So I appreciate the comments we got on it. I just wanted to address that before we got started. We definitely talk Twins, even when they're bad or meandering, are certainly good. And they're not in the bad category, which we thought would happen in 2026. They're not in the really good. They're in that meandering category because they push us away and then draw us back in. That has been the case here over this entire season, frankly, where they've had some great play. You're like, all right. And then some play, you're like, holy cow, wow, this is not good. That was the 4-game losing streak they had. Now you flip it. They won the game Wednesday. The Bats got going. Yesterday may have been their most important win of the season. And that might be hyperbolic. I know we're not in September, but where the race is and where the standings are, to get a split out of Cleveland was absolutely necessary. And they got pushed to the nth degree yesterday. Well, it was a great pitching duel. If you tuned out after 7 innings, I don't blame you, because the game went 12 yesterday at Progressive Field. Gavin Williams and Taj Bradley were in a pitcher's duel yesterday. Bradley, who's been sensational. Look at this catch, by the way, by Austin Martin out in left field. Go up and get it, young man. That was really good. Martin has been pretty solid out there. Speaking of solid, Gavin Williams was dealing yesterday. 7 innings, 2 hits. He struck out 11. That is the hardest no decision you can have because he was electric in this game. We had no runs scored until the bottom of the 5th inning. That changes here when Patrick Bailey hits one to Dayton. That's smashed out to right field. Off Bradley, it's 1-0 Cleveland. It stayed that way through the 5th, through the 6th, through the 7th, till Alan Roden comes through with a base hit to center. Royce Lewis will come around to score some late inning heroics here for the visitors and tie the game at 1. The Twins take the lead in the top of the 12th inning when Trevor Larnach delivered a base hit. Luke Keyshaw will come through as well. We're going to get to Keyshaw when Cory Provus joins us coming up in this first hour. His exploits in the outfield have been something to behold. Larnach, who had a great night Wednesday, delivers what would be the go-ahead and winning run. New reliever Jack Anderson, he's been on the team for all of 3 days, comes in the bottom of the 12th, gets the fly ball out to left. That would wrap it up, and the Twins split in Cleveland. A 3-1 12-inning victory yesterday. 6 pitchers got the job done after Bradley went 7. Morris, Gomez, Nance, Rogers, and Anderson. They managed all of 6 hits. By the way, the Twins pitchers held Cleveland to 3 hits yesterday. That's awfully impressive. And after how the first 2 games of this series went, they flip it on their head here. So here are the up-to-date standings of the American League Central after what happened yesterday. Everybody was off. The White Sox didn't play. So Cleveland currently is a game and a half back of the White Sox. And we're going to see them again later on this season. The Twins are 4.5 back. Just to update that, they are 4.5 back of Chicago. Then the Tigers at 6 back, and the Royals sitting 12.5 back heading into the games today. Twins will have the A's coming up. We'll get to that coming up later on in the show when Cory joins us, chat about this homestand with the A's and the Royals coming to Target Field. But you know what? They did what they had to do. They got a split. And now and back home. But they are awfully thin pitching-wise. We haven't discussed the McAble news. We'll hit that with Provus as well coming up later on in this first hour. But heck of a pitching performance yesterday. Bradley and Williams, those are 2 tough luck no decisions for each of those guys. But be that as it may, the Twins bullpen held Cleveland again. After that, just 2 hits the rest of the game. That was electric stuff, and they got what they needed. It wasn't pretty in Chicago, but they split in Cleveland. Now back home. Now you got to take care of some business here. The Royals are in last place in the division. The Athletics are 16 games under 500. If not for the Angels, the A's would be last in the West. So here's 2 series. You got to 5-1. I would think at the worst, right? If you want to be relevant and say to the ownership and management that we're in this and to make moves to add to the team, or at least not subtract from the team, maybe that's a better way to say it, then 5-1 I think is almost mandatory. We'll chat about that coming up later on. Now to the golf course, where yesterday the opening round of the 3M Open got going, and as we mentioned, they're on the golf course here to start round number 2. TPC Twin Cities, which has been bereft with birdies over the last few years. If you want to go and shoot some low scores, that's the place to do it. And the world's number one player decided to play at the 3M Open. And as he mentioned in his press conference that he had, I believe on Wednesday, first time ever in the state. Well, the fans came out to watch him play this past tournament. Here are the highlights from day one, and boy, he got it going yesterday. I mean, look at the crowds. These are what a tournament official was saying. They got crowds that normally we expect on Sunday. We got Thursday morning. Mentioned he played the back nine first, makes a birdie putt here at the 18th. That got him to 2 under par. This is over at the 4th. It would drill another monster putt here. He gets the roll. That's what happens when you're the number one player in the world. You get that kind of action near the cup. Here, the approach at the 7th. This backs it up there. That's pretty darn good. Knock in another birdie. Opening round for Scheffler of 65. Here's Getzinger's guy, Jake Knapp. That's who he called yesterday to win this thing. Watch this at the 4th. I'm sorry for you on the podcast. How does this not? That is as close to a hole-in-one as I've ever seen. How does it not go in? Knapp, though, in a log jam at 3 under par. He tees off at 12:30 this afternoon. The leader in the clubhouse, Ben Coles. Who? Ben Coles made a birdie there. Here, approach at the 18th. He was 7 under coming to the last hole. This is a par 5. Look at this. I mean, really? That's fantastic. He would tap that in for another. This is for eagle, by the way. Shoots opening round of 62. 9 under, led the tournament. He's already 3 under on his round today, is Cole. So he's got it now to 12 under par through 10 holes. He's got a 3-shot lead over Gary Woodland. Woodland shot 64 yesterday. Jackson Koiven also shot 64. He's at 8 under. Our guy Tom Hoagie is playing right now. Hoagie shot 68 yesterday, but he is even so far through his first 9 holes. He's currently tied for 35th. He's going to have to make a couple birdies here coming home just to make sure that he makes the cut. He's missed the cut of this event each of the last 2 years. As we talked about yesterday, if he wants to comfortably make sure that he's got a chance at earning a spot in the FedEx Cup playoffs, he's got to finish, we were thinking, higher than top 10, maybe even top 5 to get there. He's currently in 75th in the FedEx Cup points race. The top 70 make it. And so far, his round going the other way now. He just made a double bogey at 10. So that's not what you want to do. Now he's -1, so that's not great. Birdie at 1, bogey at 8, now a double at 10. He's 1 under, now tied for 66th. Now you're messing with the cut line because the projected cut is -2. So right now he would miss it. So we'll see. He's got 8 more holes to see if he can make something happen, and we'll update that as we go along here, the leaderboard on the second round of what's going on at the 3M Open. We have a packed show coming up for you here today on this Friday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up, as I mentioned, at 9:35, Cory Provus joins us each and every Friday. Chat some Twins baseball as they get ready to host the A's this weekend. Update on a couple injured guys on the pitching staff and where this team is 10 days out from the trade deadline. Going to be really interesting to see what happens this next week with, can we say Las Vegas? Are they the Las Vegas A's yet? Because I saw the stadium, the structure is up when we were out there last week in terms of the beams. They're supposed to be playing out there in 2028. We'll talk with Cory. All things Twins coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, second week in a row, we got a football commit for Minnesota State University Moore, and it's another local guy. Last week was Miles Theelges from Kindred. He'll be a Dragon. This time it's Easton Holland from Kindred's biggest rival, Central Cass. He'll keep those same colors of red and white that he wears for the Squirrels. Now he'll be a Dragon 2025 first-team All-State selection. He will join us at 10 o'clock. Chat about his commitment to play for Steve Lockway and the Dragons. And at 10:35, we'll wrap up our week as we continue our Mountain West coaches interviews with Jay Sawvel, the head coach of the University of Wyoming. The Cowboys may be destined to be the new rival for North Dakota State. A lot of chatter has been on that since the Bison were invited into the Mountain West. Obviously, proximity-wise, next to Northern Illinois, Laramie is the closest to them, and the natural connections there. Craig Bohl obviously was the head coach for 10 years at Wyoming. His son Aaron is the defensive coordinator under Sawvel. Tim Polisek coached for 3 years at the University of Wyoming. And the Cowboys are here this year as NDSU's homecoming opponent the first week of October. So there's some natural connections there. We'll visit with Coach Sawvel about all that and about what his team is bringing to the table. They have an FCS quarterback taking over. Tyler Hughes is their guy under center in 2026. So plenty to get to here on a busy Friday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. How about the Fargo Little Leaguers are up to it again? They're on Indianapolis. We'll update what happened yesterday on the Diamond and a couple other Fargo guys shining in Atlanta. Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. We are off and rolling here on a Friday morning edition of Hot Mike. Glad you're joining us. Lead into the weekend. Big NASCAR race. Our guy Benell is there this weekend, I believe, celebrating his birthday. So happy birthday to Eric. He's off to Indianapolis, taking the Brickyard. My dad actually had a chance to, I think he went to the very first one, my dad, way back when. So happy birthday to our esteemed producer who is off to Indianapolis this weekend. We got that. The WNBA All-Star Game is tomorrow night. That should be electric, considering who's playing there. The Lynx will be well represented. So we're not devoid of sports happening, despite the fact that football is not back. I got a message into the show as well while we were in break that I neglected maybe the biggest story of the day, which I didn't know it was, because I didn't see it yesterday. Apparently the Rams have unveiled new uniforms for this season, which is late in the game. Normally, for NFL teams, we're way out in front of this in May and June. Because now, training camps get going next week, or they're already underway. This is what the Rams have announced here. Apparently, 2 new uniforms, Fearsome White and Classic Soul. The one on the right, the yellow tops with the yellow Ram on the blue helmet, that looks pretty sweet. I'll grant you that. There's a few different galleries to go through here. So this is okay. Now, where they could have won me over, what about yellow pants with this? Would that be outrageous? Craig Bohl told me they would look like bananas rolling out there, because I've wanted the Bison to do that forever with yellow helmet, yellow jersey, yellow pants. I think they tried that in that spring game that they did a couple years ago. I don't think anybody was a big fan of it. This is all right. Now, here's the one that everybody really, I think, is clamoring for, is the all-white look. Now, the white Ram on the blue helmet, that is sharp. That, with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua here, that looks pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. Like that, if they wanted that to be their permanent road uniform, then I'd be on board with that. Of course, the Rams have all the expectations that this is the year with the addition of Myles Garrett, maybe that Aaron Donald is coming back. They also have that, I believe it's navy jersey or midnight jersey they have with the helmet that color as well. I don't know, is that involved in here? I'm going to look here if it's in this. No, they don't have. But they have another one as well that they will tout for this season. But the yellow one is okay. Just do yellow pants. Frankly, if they just went the old school, if you look back with the St. Louis Rams, for those of a certain age, war against the Titans in the Super Bowl when when they won it. Not when they lost to the Patriots a couple years earlier when they beat the Titans. That's the uniform. That I don't know what they're messing around with. The primary one is just fantastic. Like what they wore, I think what they wore against the Vikes on Thursday night last year. That looks good to me. Just my 2 cents. Also looking good. Congratulations to the Fargo Little Leaguers once again. Last night, over at Brunsdale Park, not too far from our studios here, the Fargo Little League team won the North Dakota State Championship. They beat a team from Mayville yesterday. This was a second victory for them in the state championship game to send them to the Midwest Regional. This is the Fargo 12U All-Stars winning yesterday 15-0. And they are advancing on to the Midwest Regional Tournament. That will begin on August the 7th. That's 2 weeks from today in Whitestown, Indiana. That's just outside of Indianapolis. For those that have attached themselves to this particular tournament, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The intriguing part about this, and I know we talked about it on our newscast last night, and the Forum has a story on it this morning, is that for a handful of guys on this year's team, they have older brothers that went to Williamsport in 2023. They were part of the Fargo team that made history and won that regional back in 2023 and went to Williamsport and just had a fantastic time. Honestly, it kind of captivated this area. Not just Fargo. I don't even think Eastern North Dakota. I think a large swath of the state, and I would say parts of western Minnesota as well, were really intrigued to see because we've never had anybody go. Eric Grandy is back as head coach. We've had Eric on here several times. We'll get him again, hopefully in studio next week in anticipation of the team getting ready to go to Indianapolis. And I know what some are going to say. Like, Dom, why do you pay attention to this and not other levels of baseball? And to me, the reasoning has always been simple on this, and you can think it's wrong or whatever. That's your opinion. That's just mine. That Little League has now risen to the level of notoriety, whether you like it or not, the amount of television coverage that it commands, that this is a different level of notoriety than, say, Babe Ruth, than Cal Ripken, than American Legion, because none of their events are on ABC or ESPN. Softball even's now on ABC, and I know North Dakota's trying to get organized there to have a team to compete in that Midwest Regional, which we just saw happen this week. They're sending their teams off to the Softball World Series, which starts pretty soon. That is my level of the threshold on it, because I'll tell you right now, I remember distinctly, I was still anchoring the sports when the first time we had a Fargo team make it to the Midwest Regional, in either 2017, I want to say, gosh, I'm old, 17 or 18, I think it was 17, and we had highlights on because they were on ESPN 3 at the time, now it's ESPN Plus, and I remember telling our news director, like, I know we're going to get some blowback here, but the level of attention on this is different than any other level of baseball, simply because their games are available, they're streamed, they're on TV. And that has always been our threshold for it. So for these young guys who get a chance now to go to Indianapolis, they already know what's awaiting them. They have older siblings that went and did this every year. We've had a team go to the regional. North Dakota only got its own slot, I want to say, 6 or 7 years ago. In the past, a team from North Dakota had to beat a team from South Dakota to get to Indianapolis. Now, North Dakota has its own chapter. They have a spot reserved for them at the regional. Now it's about, you got to win, I want to say, 4 games to make it to Williamsport. And that begins, as you see on the screen, August the 7th is when things get going there. So congratulations to those guys, and we'll keep an eye on them, what happens. The regional start varying dates around the country, mostly August 6th to August the 14th. And then it's on to Williamsport, which begins August the 19th. Then you know summer's over. That was always my clue. When the Little League World Series started showing up on television, then it was summer is officially wrapped up. One other baseball note, and this is important to pass this along as well. Congratulations to both to 2 guys that we've featured on our show that are having a great time. Jake Dangerud, along with Henry Schrum, two great baseball players in our area that are playing right now at the Futures games down in Atlanta. Jake yesterday, 1 for 2 with a double and a walk, 2 runs scored. Henry, 0 for 1 with 2 walks and 2 runs scored. They're playing this morning against a team from Colorado, but both are on the radar of top baseball programs around the country. Jake, who you met a couple weeks ago, I believe he was on with Sam, plays at West Fargo Cheyenne. Henry was a part of the state champions from Fargo South. Baseball right now is at a really good spot, and these are 2 reasons why. Obviously, you met Caden Nelson, who was the state MVP. He's going to go play in the SEC. Some pretty good stuff going on right now in high school baseball around our state. So congrats to each of these guys, and we'll be following this throughout the weekend as well. The future games going on down in Atlanta. This is a massive recruiting weekend. You've got tons of colleges that have descended there to keep their eyes on guys who are part of the 28 or 29 recruiting class, which I know sounds asinine, but that is how early down the recruiting starts. So, and those are 2 guys that we've featured obviously on our show that are doing some big-time things there. So good luck to both of them, and we'll be keeping our eyes peeled to what happens there. All right, bottom of the hour has come here. We'll break. We come back. Cory Provus will join us next half hour. We talk Minnesota Twins baseball 10 days out from the deadline. What decisions will happen, if any? We'll discuss that when Hot Mike returns on a Friday morning. We're back right after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. He struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it's that time on a Friday with our guy Cory Provus. Joins us each and every Friday to chat on the Minnesota Twins, who have taken us through the emotional roller coaster yesterday. I don't know if the season was on the line, but certainly the game played out, one of their more thrilling games of the season, with an unbelievable pitching duel between Taj Bradley and Gavin Williams. The Twins won it, so at least for now, we're in that spot. We talked last week. They couldn't go 1-6 or 0-7. They went 3-4, so they're right what we thought they were, right?
I mean, I think it was a huge game, and I read what Taylor Rogers said after the game, that 2 days ago everybody felt like the world was ending and the season was over and all that stuff, and how things can change. And I get where he's coming from, but just coming home, 51-53 as opposed to 50-54, to me it just seems like a bigger deal.
Yeah.
I just think going 3-4, winning these last 2, and now with 6 games coming up against 2 teams that are really struggling right now, a chance not just to get back to 500, Dom, but to get over 500. Yeah. I mean, this is their best chance in a long, long time. So I thought it was a massive, massive win. And not to mention, people make fun of me because I bring it up a lot, that tiebreakers come into play here.
Yeah.
As you all know, your Mets stayed home last year because they lost the tiebreaker to the Reds. Yep. Same record. Lost the head-to-head season series. The Twins are now 6-4 against Cleveland, with 3 games left to be played at Target Field in September. The Twins won a season series in Cleveland for the first time since 2021. They have the tiebreaker already over Houston. They have the tiebreaker already over Boston. They don't have it over Seattle. They can change that with the series coming up next weekend. Yeah. But I think it's a massive deal. I think that was a huge game, not just for 500, getting back there, hopefully getting closer to it, but in terms of the tiebreaker, now they just got to win one of the final 3 against Cleveland to win the season series.
Let's go back to yesterday. The way Gavin Williams was throwing, you feel like they were ever going to get anything on until he left the game in the 8th inning.
I mean, I thought it was the best performance I've seen a starter have against the Twins all year.
Yeah.
All year. It wasn't a no-hitter. It wasn't a perfect game. It was disgusting. It was filthy what he was doing. And you saw the swings. I mean, did you see the amount of Twins that were swinging and missing by not just inches, it looked like feet.
Feet, yeah.
I mean, feet. I mean, he was awesome. That was stud stuff. And I was telling Denard, about halfway through the game in commercial when Paul Molitor was managing. One of his biggest pet peeves, he hated tipping his cap to the opposing guy, but realized maybe once or twice a year you really have to do it. That was yesterday to me. Gavin Williams, bravo, was fantastic. Taj was great. But yeah, both guys took no decisions despite going 7 innings and pitching very, very well.
Twins bullpen yesterday, Corey. How would you grade out what they did after he left?
I mean, I thought the game was over multiple times, especially in the 11th inning when they worked around who was up. Steven Kwan's at second base. You've got Ramirez. You've got Rocchio. You've got all their better hitters. DeLauder, Bazana, all their best guys. Yeah. And all they need to do is push that guy in. And both teams struggled getting that lead runner to third base with that first batter. And that was the difference in the game because nobody could do it. Interesting, and you can always go back and second guess, but for the Cleveland side of things, Patrick Bailey trying to bunt his teammate over. Austin Hedges was on the bench. He's a good bunter. I get it, Bailey, better defense, all that stuff, but there's your window to win the game. So I think you can kind of second guess that a little bit. Did Stephen vote? Should he have lifted Bailey knowing that that's the winning run? You're going to bunt anyway. Why not have one of your better bunting guys come in? Yep. And if the game does play on, there's your catcher and fine. I think that you can second guess. But you can second guess a lot of moves. It's easier to do that a day later. But, yeah, the bullpen, bravo. And now Jack Anderson becomes the 12th Twin with a save, adding to this ridiculous team record that they have now 104 games in.
We're going to look at the wild card standings here. Boston somehow has let themselves into this because when you win 15 in a row, that's sort of the deal. But the Mariners are right in front of Minnesota. What do we make of this race? I mean, the Yankees have to get healthy. You'd think the Judge is going to come back, but nobody thought Boston was going to be relevant, Corey, 2 months ago.
They looked like a disaster.
Yeah.
They looked like a dumpster fire when the Twins last saw them, and they went 5-1 against the Red Sox this year. Remember, they swept the series at Fenway Park, and they're booing. And you start thinking about, man, I wonder if Aroldis Chapman will be available because Derek Shelton loves him. They were together in Pittsburgh, and I think this would be an awesome fit to this team. Well, that's not happening anymore. I mean, he's not going anywhere. No. But, yeah, when the Twins rattled off those 13 straight wins in back-to-back years, they didn't really gain much ground because what it was, looking back in hindsight, was both in 24 and 25, they put themselves in a hole early and used that 13-game winning streak to get back into not just 500, but get above it. Whereas the Red Sox, they just changed everything. They were buried and got themselves over 500. That coincides with, even the Rays losing a little bit more, but they're still very good at home. Yeah, but gaining, significant ground on the Yankees in the AL East standings. And now, the mediocrity of the American League is still there, but it doesn't look as mediocre, even beneath that, as it once did, with the way that the Red Sox have been playing here the last couple of weeks.
I got to go back to what happened this weekend in Chicago, last weekend, the back-to-back days where we had the Josh Bell base running, and I know Keyshawn's not a center fielder, but he had two plays on back-to-back that compounded themselves. It was a comedy of errors out there that led to two bad losses at Wrigley Field.
The late, great John Sterling, the legendary voice of the Yankees, he had one of my favorite lines a couple of years ago. And, if I said this on the air, I'd get fired. So that's why I didn't do it. It was in my head, but I wasn't going to do it. But when the Yankees were having all these base running gaffes a couple of years ago, John Sterling said on the air, quote, he's like, boy, the Yankees, they're running around like a bunch of drunks. And that was in my head. Yeah. But, yeah, that base running, that was a disaster on every level, head down, who's at fault, multiple guys. But, yeah, that was – they literally ran themselves out of a potential, game-changing, game-tying inning, and that was poor. And then, Keyshaw's going to make – he's not going to make every play. Yeah. This is new to him playing center field. He started, 10 games, I think, now in center. And everybody will tell you that the hardest ball to read is that line drive right at you. And, do I die for it? Do I not? It's sinking. And you got by him. That stuff is going to happen. And that's why, the Twins are a better team in every possible way when Byron Buxton is playing.
Right.
Not just because of his bat, his leadership, his speed, but because he's platinum out there in center. And, there's a domino effect to that. When he doesn't play, moments like that, they're going to show up even more.
All right, so I mentioned this before you came on. You mentioned the two teams that are coming. It's the Athletics and the Royals. I said 5-1 is minimum. What do you? I mean, what do you think? But they're both bad teams. I mean, what do you think of what's coming to Target Field now this week?
I think you win these series. I think that sounds great. 4-2. I think win these series. That to me, and they don't have right now. They have a losing record against Kansas City.
Yeah.
They will not see Bobby Witt Jr. He won't play. He'll be he's on the IL with a back injury, and the Royals. They're beaten up too. They got a lot of injuries. I think Jack Caglione, though, is going to be back. He's not on the IL dealing with a sore shoulder. He's a really good player. They still have Michael Wacha. The trade deadline is a week from Monday.
Yep.
And will Wacha still be on this team? There seems to be a lot of momentum building that he's going to go. Maybe Seth Lugo's going to go. And maybe that pushes into the weekend, and that's not a factor. And we'll see either one of those two guys in this upcoming series. But this A's team, starting with them, this was a team, I saw this note this morning, Dom, entering June 20th, they were 500. They were 38-38, but since then they have lost 21 of 26. They have a season-high 11 guys on the injury list right now, and it's impacting everything. When we talked about the injuries with the Cubs series, the bulk of those injuries were with their bullpen, not with the offensive core that we saw. Yeah. The A's, all these injuries, it's everybody. It's position players, it's bullpen, it's starting pitching. So I was completely on the A's bandwagon at the start of the year. I thought this team, if they're healthy, I get it. This lineup is going to be awesome. They're just missing so many guys. I'm reading that Nick Kurtz might come back in this series, so they'll get the big Amish back, maybe as early as tonight. But they're missing so many guys right now, and mainly with their starting staff currently. And with that, their ERA the last 15 games is 6.5. So add to them right now. I mean, they got Jacob Lopez going tonight, 15 games, 12 starts. ERA is 6.64. He's been hit hard. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, and this is going to be a pretty dominant right-handed lineup tonight, and let's pounce while we can.
Saturday, the Twins don't have a starter. Is that Connor Prelip in your estimation? Is he back for that tomorrow night?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, barring any, it was interesting that he met the team in Cleveland, and what the training staff wanted to see, two things. A, they wanted to see him throw a bullpen, which he did yesterday. That went well. But mainly Nick Paparesta, the entire draft, they wanted to see his finger. Get really hands-on with it, look at it, not just go with reports and what other people are saying and seeing, but see it themselves. And I think he's good to go. I mean, I don't see Connor Prelip going 7 innings, any start the rest of the year. 6. I think he's going to be around a 5-inning cap.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. I can't see it going more than 80 pitches, 85 pitches here the rest of the way, unless he's incredibly efficient and the stuff isn't tapering down at all. But they were going to monitor his workload anyway. And I think even more so now as we have just, under 60 games left here to play. I think they're going to be watching him very, very closely. But, yeah, I think Connor Prelip in what's going to be, I think, plenty of abbreviated starts, he'll get the ball on Saturday.
Let's break. Much more with Cory when we come back, including a pitching injury update. Not great news on Mick Abel or David Festa. We'll discuss that in the upcoming week ahead as the Twins have 3 separate trips coming to the West Coast. More with Cory Provus. We come back to wrap up Hour 1 of Hot Mike right after this. Who you got working with this weekend?
Berg, but also Pablo Lopez.
Oh, yeah?
In the booth, all 3 games.
Is that right? That's
cool.
All
3. All 3, Pablo.
That'll be good television. He's awesome.
Oh, it's going to be really great. Good. It's going to be so fun. It'll be so fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Such a good dude.
Does Cleveland still have the guy that hits the drum in the outfield? Is he still there?
No, he passed away. He passed away with cancer probably about 6 or 7 years ago. John Adams was his name. Yeah, he passed away a few years ago. So he did it forever, like 50 years of banging that drum. And he got a bobblehead, and I remember we were there for that. But yeah, he passed away.
How was the crowds there this week?
Crowds I take, they do better on the weekends.
Yeah.
But they average probably 23,000. It was a quiet 23 though. I mean, even with Ramirez coming back on what Tuesday it was. But what they have completely flipped the script on them though. They're winning against them in ways that the Guardians have done the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Is walk-off wins, extra inning wins, winning close games. I think. What is the note? I think it's like 4 of their 6 wins are by 2 runs or fewer. 4 or 5 of their 6 wins over Cleveland is by 2 runs or fewer. And that's what the Guardians did to the Twins. So pretty cool. It's got to win one more. I think the tiebreaker stuff is so important.
Yeah.
And I bring it up a lot because it's worth it.
Came back, like you mentioned, I didn't pay attention until September when the Mets were gagging. I'm like, oh, okay, we don't have a tiebreaker on anybody. And they didn't.
On anybody. When you start to think about it, it's like, oh, this could really keep you home.
Right.
It's going to be tough. I think Seattle's going to win that series next week, and I don't know what their pitching is going to be, but that's going to be tough to go there, winning 2 out of 3, not easy.
See, I know they play enough ball, but I miss the one-game playoff deal, though, to settle those things.
I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated that. I mean, the Twins-White Sox one, what sucked about that is the Twins had the better record. They had the better record, and they lost a coin flip to host that game. Come on. They had a better record than that.
Yep.
And it was a coin flip? No, I like that these games matter. You have to chase wins, and you got to think about it right now. When you're in August, if it's Sunday and the Twins, it's the rubber game of the series, and this could either split the 3-3 or you go for the season series win, and you're down by 1, chase it. You got an off day Monday, chase that win. Use Morris, use Gomez,
right? Yeah,
Rogers, whatever. I mean, I think you have to chase them a little bit.
So we were out in Las Vegas last week for the Mountain West Media Days for North Dakota State football. So I got to look at where the A's are. The structure is up. That's it so far. The beams are up though. So
it's right off the strip, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think they signed a 3-year lease to be in Sacramento, so this year and next. But I believe there's an option for 2028 as well.
How about here we go. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're seeing my Johan Santana bobblehead. I was there that night. The crowd was wild before to get the bobblehead because that was Hall of Fame night. I only bring this up as we bring back Cory Provus because tomorrow night is Kirby Puckett jersey giveaway. Have they already started camping out, I imagine, at Target Field today for that?
I would imagine that's a big one. That's a popular one. I love that baby blue. I liked the baby blue Twins jerseys when they wore those in the past.
Totally.
Maybe those come back, someday, and maybe even part of a City Connect look here in the future at some point too. But I think that's a big one tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a popular one. It's going to be cool. I like seeing, and I pay attention at the ballpark now. I love seeing Killebrews and Olivas and Blylevens and Carews and seeing Puckett. We see Puckett 34s all the time. And I love that about our game. And whether that's at Target Field, whether that's Twins fans down the road, that's a number that people are going to wear forever, like Mauer 7. And, that's going to be neat tomorrow night.
I was made aware that on Tuesday night is Christmas in July night at the ballpark. You guys don't have to fill in on that. You wear, like, parkas and anything in the booth, right?
No, I'm not a fan of that. I get why they do that in Anaheim.
Yes.
I get why they do that in warm climates, but I love living here, but I don't want to think about winter now, right? Let's just enjoy this. Yeah. And so I get it. I think it's something we do maybe every year, every other year. But, yeah, the Christmas in July thing, I get it. And, like, in southern climates, go get them. But why? It's beautiful out. Let's enjoy summer, lake life, outside baseball, and We'll worry about winter later.
I just didn't want to see you with like a toque on, when it's 95 degrees out and they make you do that for the opening camera shot.
We are wearing suits though tonight because of our special guest. He wanted us to wear suits.
Okay. Let's get a couple injury updates here, and they're not great. Obviously, Mick Abel was the star, I thought, of the first month of the Twins staff, and he hasn't pitched, Cory, since April, and obviously the news is not good that he needs arm surgery. What do we know on this, and if there is 2027, when he's back in 2027?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like Abel is done for the year, and David Festa, whom we never got a chance to see pitch at all this season. Those guys won't be part of the plans here this year. But for Abel, I think this doesn't change much in terms of 2027. He didn't have Tommy John surgery, so he had a procedure done that should not really, impact 2027 to my knowledge at this point. So it's disappointing because, man, he looked good early, didn't he?
Yes.
I thought, whoa, this looks like, I get it. This looks like a frontline guy, the way that he was throwing in Arctic temperatures and missing bats and throwing hard. He looked great. So hopefully this is just a one-year setback for him, and then he's right back at it. And the more this came up a lot just in conversations having with Denard and Glenn and Chris just, on our walks back to the hotel, I hope they don't trade Joe Ryan because you look at what this rotation could be for 2027 with Pablo back. You have Joe, you have Taj, you have Abel. That's a really good four. That's a really good four. And if they keep everybody together and they're healthy, you can compete, if not win this division, especially if the Tigers trade Tarek Skubal and don't get a whole lot back, or even if they hang on to him, whatever it looks like. You can win this division with those top four guys if they're throwing well and they're healthy. And that's something that I think about and have been thinking about a lot here lately with the trade deadline coming up.
I know this is an impossible question to answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What's your gut tell you? Like, is there a record or how close they have to be in terms of the wild card division for the management to say we're staying, like we're going to keep the group we have, or we might go and add somebody?
I mean, I think they did their job on this last road trip. They did not lay an egg. Now, you can't lay an egg now.
Right.
You just this is, I think, what changes that. If you go 2-4, and then you're going on a 3-city road trip to Seattle, then you go on the back end, you go to Milwaukee. I mean, then you're asking a lot there.
Yep.
So I think job well done to add, not subtract, or even to trade some parts, but not completely blow it up. I think they've checked those boxes already. I think that they're absolutely still in the market to add, but might have to give up something. But I tell you this, 2023, I know for a fact that there were discussions about trading Sonny Gray. I mean, the Twins had a great team.
Yeah.
Sonny was awesome.
Yep.
Had the one bad start of the year in the postseason against Houston, but there were discussions about trading Sonny. That trade deadline season, giving up something good, but getting, I don't know where he was going, what they were getting back, but it wasn't going to completely, devastate the team in terms of talent. They were expecting to get back some significant talent back if they did trade Sonny to keep them in contention. And of course, they ended up winning the division and winning that playoff series against Toronto. So I look at it this way, but yeah, I would think there are certainly going to be conversations about, many good players, guys that we see play every day. But if they do part ways with a few of those guys, it's not, waving the white flag, being like, we're done, we're out. It's, okay, we're still planning on contending, but we had some assets to move that won't completely decimate the team, either offensively, defensively, or from a pitching standpoint.
Got a couple emails here to ask. Dom, you asked Cory if he has any responsibilities for the Field of Dreams game. Now, that's a Netflix game, but are you going to go, or are you staying at home then?
I'm going.
Awesome.
I'm bringing my son.
Awesome.
Coop and I are going to go, and
Awesome.
we're going to drive down. And I a month and a half ago, I wasn't going, and I was like, off Thursday, off Friday, and that sounds great. In August of a season, back-to-back off days at home. You only live once, and my kids, they've seen the movie, but my son doesn't remember it, so we'll watch it again.
Awesome.
Before the game. But yeah, I'm going to go and be a fan.
Good for you.
And I'm going to bring my glove. He's going to bring his glove. I don't know if we'll get a chance to play catch in the field, but Yeah, I'm going to go and just be a fan.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. That comes up August 13th, a couple weeks from now. The other email, and this is to ask to expound on your thoughts on 2027 and bringing up the minor leaguers or not, knowing there may be a work stoppage. And this is I thought of this as well because, there are some out there saying, all right, well, if they're going to sell to bring up a Walker Jenkins, to bring up a Kalen Culpepper, but I know you brought this up on our show a couple weeks ago, that there are some pitfalls on that if there's no baseball next year.
Remember that the minor leagues now, they have a union. All right. This was something that came into play a couple of years ago. And so with that, they have their own CBA. And their CBA does not run congruent with the big league current CBA that we're talking about and seeing and reading about. The minor league CBA runs through the end of the 2027 season. So regardless what happens with labor, if there's a lockout, work stoppage, whatever, that will have no impact on the minor leagues. The minor league season, spring training camp will open for them, and they are playing no matter what next year. Now, Walker Jenkins, Kalen Culpepper, two of the top 3 Twins prospects right now. They are not on the 40-man roster. Both guys are at St. Paul, but they're not on the 40-man roster.
Right.
If the Twins bring up either guy, they first have to be added to the 40-man roster. At that point, once you're on the 40-man roster, you have major league protection. So being that if Jenkins is added to the 40-man roster and there is a work stoppage, there is a lockout, he can't go play in the minors. He will be on his own program, just like Brooks Lee and Byron Buxton and all these guys. Whatever they're going to be doing, it will not be with the Minnesota Twins because there will be no big league action happening if there is a work stoppage still lingering at that point. I think that is a big deal, but you also have to focus on the present. That if they trade Trevor Larnach, there is an everyday spot for Walker Jenkins to play. That to me is a path that they say, okay, to the heck with it. To my point earlier, that you might trade some pieces, but you still want to be in it. They're only going to bring up Jenkins if there's everyday playing time. And, if we get to that point and they're still around, I'd love to see them. Yeah. I don't make that call, but I'm sure that is something that Jeremy Zoll and the front office and management is thinking about in terms of development, that if indeed we do have kind of a cold, quiet winter with nothing happening, then Walker Jenkins is kind of on his own program and doing nothing affiliated with the Minnesota Twins, unlike many of his minor league peers.
Going to be fascinating to see. Hopefully we're not in that scenario, but it looks ever pressing as we go forward. Great stuff as always, bud. Have a great call tonight, and we'll chat next week, okay?
Thanks, Tom.
There he is. Cory Provus joins us each and every Friday at 9:30. The Twins play the Athletics this weekend, 7 o'clock tonight, 6 o'clock tomorrow, then a 1 o'clock game on Sunday, and then an off day Monday for the Royals come to town. And then, as Cory mentioned, that 3-city road trip looming after that. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. You'll meet the newest member of the Dragon football class of 2027. He wears the same colors at a Central cast. Easton Holland is coming up when we come back.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Final hour of the week. Jay Sawvel, the head coach of the Wyoming Cowboys, will join us about a half hour. My conversation with him about the Bowl becoming a thing. We'll discuss that with the head coach of the Cowboys at about a half hour's time. Last Friday, I believe in this exact time slot, we visited with one of the local members of the Dragon football committee or commitment list of 2027, one Miles Thiel, just out of Kindred, North Dakota. We're going to keep that theme going for the Dragon class of 2027. Another local guy, except it's Kindred's biggest rival out of Central Cass, announced yesterday. Easton Holland announced his commitment to play football for the Dragons, and he joins us this morning to chat about that. First, congratulations. Second, did you send a text message to Miles? Like, is the trash talking continuing now here with you guys both being commitments?
No, I haven't said anything yet.
It's great to see you. Thanks for doing this, and give us the lowdown. Tell us about the Dragons and why that was the school for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to the recruiting coordinator, Chris Needham, for quite a while now. Like every single camp that I went to this summer, he's been at and talked to him all the time, and it's always felt like it's just the place that I want to go to since the beginning.
So when did you first get wind of that someone's looking at you to play college football? You remember that? And just like, what was the thought process? Like, okay, somebody thinks I'm good enough to play college ball.
Kind of after last year, because, I mean, last year was the first time I really got any like anyone to notice me. I played some defense sophomore year, but I guess last year is when I took off.
555 yards, 7 touchdowns. You play defense as well, 48 tackles, 3 picks. You do a little bit of everything. Why did it click last year? Was it just maturation, playing time, combination of both?
I'd say a combination of both, and then also, having a good quarterback, Brody Kegley, it just makes everything easy when you have someone who can throw the ball up like that.
Well, we're watching a few of your highlights right now, and we got to be honest here, man. You're making some unbelievable plays. That touchdown you had against Kindred, I want to ask about here in a little bit. Well, how did your confidence grow, Easton, as the season went along?
The first game, I actually only had 1 reception, so I kind of switched from the outside receiver to inside receiver, and that kind of helped me get more balls. And once I started catching more balls, confidence grew. I felt more confident, and I knew I could trust Brody throwing the ball. And yeah, we had a big line, so that helped Brody be able to give him some time, and then just allowed me to make some plays.
I want to ask about your offensive line here in a second. What did that do for you as well to go up and make plays for your own confidence that I'm catching it and I'm scoring or I'm getting first downs?
Oh, it's huge. Just the guys, they're awesome. Like anytime anyone catch a touchdown, they'd be hustling down to the end zone to celebrate with us.
I have to ask you, when you play with an offense like that where you've got a quarterback you can trust, what does that do where like, I know he's going to get me the ball where I'm going to be?
It's awesome. He's awesome. We went to the Easton Stick QB clinic together, and I mean, we went last year too, and we've been friends since as long as I can remember, and I'd say just the connection is just there.
I saw you got a photo with one Mr. Stick. What was that like?
Oh, it's awesome. It was nice to learn a lot of stuff there. He's pretty big too. He's
a bigger guy than you think, actually, when you see him in person. To have that kind of rapport with your quarterback in the offseason, how much does that get you ahead when fall camp starts in a couple weeks?
I'd say a lot. Like, just you can tell that the connection's already there, and the season hasn't even started yet.
So I mentioned you've got 2 guys up front that are both going to play college ball. Everyone knows about Aiden Wunderlich, who's going to go to UND. Evan Wiersma's going to be not only your teammate now, he's going to be your teammate in college. Describe that, having 2 mountains up front, what it's like that they're blocking, that they can get you downfield to get open.
It's awesome. They're mountains. They're just being able to hold back guys, give Brody more time, and then also Evan on defense is just a monster. It's hard to hold him back, which, having him take on guys allows me to get more tackles too, and just helps the team out in general. So
I'm talking all offensively here, but you were visiting with me off air that it looks like you're going to play defense in college. Are you okay with that, of switching of playing defense full time?
Yeah, I like defense. Offense is fun, catching touchdowns, but I say defense is just as important, stopping people in tackles, and yeah.
All right, here's the impossible question. What's more fun, scoring a touchdown receiving wise or getting an interception?
I'd say, if you can get the interception and bring it back, I feel like that'd be more fun, but yeah.
Have you done that one yet? I know you got some picks. Have you brought one back yet?
No, everyone that I've caught, we've had like a penalty or something on it. So, yeah.
Tell guys to stop blocking in the back then, right, on the way back.
Yeah.
I'm interested because you mentioned to me you're going to keep playing both ways this coming fall. Now you're going to be playing defense. Does that change not necessarily your preparation, but how you're looking at the game, knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing full time when I get to college?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. So this year for high school, they switched me from safety to linebacker. So, it's something new, and like I feel like I made enough tackles last year that I'm comfortable, being down in the box. But yeah, it's definitely going to change a little bit.
It's 6'4", 190. That's a big safety, but that's your linebacker. Is that something that they're amendable to? Is that might change the further you're in school?
Maybe they're like, I don't know. With my frame, they said like that you can play wherever, I guess.
How exciting is that to hear? Okay, there's not a set spot. I could be moving all over.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I have to ask here, I know I talked with Miles about this. MSUM has made its lunch on finding really, really good local players. How big a deal was that for you to stay close to home, or was it not?
I like that a lot. Being like only 30 minutes away from my family and all my friends, it's pretty cool. And then a lot of my friends are probably going to go to NDSU, which is just down the road too. So it's really nice.
Knowing that the Dragons had the kind of success, Miles talked to me about this last week with obviously Jack Strand is playing in the NFL. The Dragons have kept getting better. They play, I think, in the best conference in Division II. Were all those check marks for you?
Yeah. I don't know if they talked to you about like Jack Strand, but like they said that, he got some other offers like to go play higher levels, and he's stuck with MSUM just because of the culture and the family that they had there.
I gotta say, are you missing out on offense? Because Coach Lockway likes to throw it 70 times a game, and you're like, well, hey, I can play receiver if you need me.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but I'm fine with defense too.
I have to ask, having this done with, well, first take us back. When was the earliest you remember either getting a phone call, or not necessarily from MSUM, or an offer? How long has this been going, and how exciting is it to have it done?
Oh, it's really exciting. I think, I don't know how long ago it was. Might have been during the football season. Evan Wiersma gave them my number, and that's when they started texting me. So, yeah, it was pretty cool, and I'm excited to get it done and commit.
Was your phone blowing up yesterday once you made it official?
Oh, yeah. All the MSUM coaches text me, which is really cool.
To have it, and by the way, for your parents, it's easy now. You already have the same colors, right? So you don't have to get a whole new wardrobe, right? That's a positive.
Yeah, that's what my mom loves.
Tell us about this upcoming year. Central Cass obviously is always good. Knowing full well the kind of talent you have back. Tell me about expectations for 2026.
Yeah, we lost a lot of guys on the line. We might be a little bit smaller, but I mean, we're still looking to make a big impact. So hopefully, we'll be throwing the ball a lot. So hopefully, we can get some balls and I don't know. Brody's good. He can move pretty well. So I'd say we should be looking pretty good, which is nice.
Have a returner at quarterback. How much does that help as well?
Oh, it's awesome. Just like the chemistry that he has with not just me, but like every receiver that we have. And like, it's good to have a quarterback that your whole team can trust.
I think on the outside, Easton, everyone was curious how Central Cass and Kinder were going to handle moving up. Tell me about that competition level, what that was like for you going from what Class A was to Double-A football last year.
Yeah, last year I was a little bit nervous, going up a class, and then also I never really played receiver until last year, so I was a little nervous going in. But then after the first couple of games, I'm like, this isn't too different. We can still compete, we can still do well. So yeah.
I have to ask, the final game of the year is Kindred, and it's at your place. What is that like to play? You've played basketball, you've played other sports against them. Give us you're in it. What is it like on a Kindred game day?
It's loud. It's really loud. Yeah, it's probably, anytime we play Kindred, it's probably the best games that I can remember. If it's basketball or football, I know it's going to be a good game.
Are the emotions different in a game when it's them as opposed to anybody else, no matter what the sport is?
I'd say probably, student section's going a little bit more crazy. Pressure's a little bit higher. Yeah.
I have to ask before we wrap up here. You mentioned you had one catch in the first game of the year.
Yeah.
So you finished with 53. That's a new school record. What happened between game 1 and game 10?
I started throwing the ball more, I guess.
How about for you, confident-wise, to say that you have the single-season school record for receptions? How proud of a fact are you of that?
I think that's awesome. Just knowing that, gives Brody more trust in me to be able to make a play on the ball and hopefully get some more touchdowns.
I guess on the flip side, though, everybody's going to know where you are on the field. What do you make of that for a challenge for this year defensively?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you just got to do what you got to do to get open, I guess. And also, you know, if the best player is going to be guarding me, then we got Blaze Khan and whoever else that they're dogs too, you know. Brody can throw them the ball, and just our wide receiver group in general is just really good, and I'm excited for the season.
I almost neglected here your performance in track. Tell me how much track helps you for football, and vice versa.
Yeah, I'd say it might help me a little bit more than most people because, like, you know, hurdles, like just like hip mobility and being able to like jump and run. Yeah, and you know, you talk about Miles, we race each other a lot because he also does hurdles, which is pretty cool.
Who won those?
He actually, I think he was at state, the prelims. He actually fell in the 300 hurdles, so we didn't get a race, which kind of sucked. But yeah,
I saw here 110 hurdles, 15.67 this past year. Describe that. Was that about as fast as you think you could go?
I think I could have gone a little bit faster, but yeah, I mean, always want to go a little faster. So,
hey man, hurdles going that fast, that's pretty darn fast to me. But congratulations. Thanks so much for doing this, Bucky. Congrats on the commitment to MSUM. Stay healthy, have a great year, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
All right, sweet. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, Easton Holland from Central Cass High School, newest member of the Dragon class of 2027. Steve Lockway keeps hammering getting local guys here, and we've introduced you to quite a few. And here over the last 2 weeks, Miles Theelgis out of Kindred, Easton Holland out of Central Cass. Two guys that you will see on our First Down Friday highlight machine, which gets going, can't believe I'm going to say this, in 3 weeks' time, we'll be having actual football games. I lament how early we start practice in North Dakota, but then when we get to late October, then it reminds me of why we do that. But it's not that far away, and those are a pair of guys we're going to be seeing not only in high school, but at the next level at MSUM. Good stuff there. All right, let's break. We got a few emails to get to, some more apparently on the uniform stuff, and a couple other topics we haven't hit. We'll do that in the final 40 minutes or so of our show on this Friday. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks there to Easton Holland. That was good stuff. Appreciate him giving us a few minutes here. A couple other items we didn't have time to talk of the top of the show. Tip of the hat to our guy, Tom Miller, updating the story on UND corner Johnny Wiltshire. If you've not been following this, Wiltshire has filed an appeal to get an extra year of eligibility to play this fall. He tweeted out yesterday that he was granted a TRO, a temporary restraining order. We're now common language now here in the sports lexicon. We got to know all the lawyer terms. That was one that I now know. He was granted a temporary restraining order in Grand Forks County District Court, approved by Judge Christy Venhusen on Thursday. The court documents state there are appropriate injunction grounds and a clear need for immediate relief in this matter. The plaintiff, who is seeking an additional year of eligibility to play Division I intercollegiate football at the University of North Dakota, risks permanent loss of the opportunity to do so if he is not permitted to begin fall practice with the team just days from now on July 28th, 2026. Wiltshire was really good last year for UND. He had 3 picks, 8.5 tackles for loss, had 4 sacks. He was an all-conference honorable mention last year. Gosh, I want to say, did he get hurt in the Bison game? I can't remember here. They report to camp, much like the Bison do, on Tuesday. Their first day of practice is Wednesday. He and Avery Scott are both seeking an eligibility waiver to play in 2026. Eric Schmidt was asked about this at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day. We just want to give them an opportunity, yes or no, so they can either move on or be able to play here. You get to this point in July and you're still waiting to see what's going to happen. It's really something that I feel bad about for them. They've been waiting and working on their own and just trying to get a decision here moving forward. That's wild to still be in this boat on July 24th and not know if you're eligible to play or not. This is why the NCAA came out with a statement yesterday saying, regardless of the lawsuits that are out there, we are firmly behind the new eligibility model. We are standing behind it. We believe it's going to withstand any court challenges, and that this is the way we're going to go going forward. As you know, there's been more than a handful of basketball players that have filed lawsuits against this new model to get another year back. But this was the line in the sand. Talking with various athletic directors about this over the past few months, once the 5-for-5 deal came about, they knew that they had to draw a line somewhere, right? That the 25, 26 graduating seniors were going to be done with eligibility, whether they like it or not. And that's why this is such a really interesting dilemma going forward. One other thing I wanted to talk about here, because it relates to our show and to sports television larger. Jimmy Traina from Sports Illustrated, who covers sports media, does a great job on it, had a column earlier this week which was talking about the ratings that the World Cup got, and we visited about this earlier in the week, but not necessarily on the final. It was in regards to the two semifinals that were played last Tuesday and Wednesday, and in the middle of the day. Those games were played at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central. The two semifinals got 23 and 28 million viewers for both of those games. And his point is that there should be more afternoon sporting events. And he's exactly right about this. Now, it's not to compare like a regular season baseball game with the Brewers and the Pirates being played on a Wednesday is going to get 28 million people to watch. That's not it. But literally, Major League Baseball has its own network, right? And the fact that there is not a day baseball game on every single day confounds me. And that was his point as well. Like today, I believe the Rockies and the Brewers are playing at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock today. That's too late. It's a 3 o'clock game. Play that game at 1. Like, I understand you got travel and you got to account for all that, but there should literally be a game every single day, baseball-wise, in the middle of the afternoon. And why there's not is unbelievable to me. Here's another point to this, and I didn't know this. The National Hockey League is following suit. The NHL is going to experiment with Monday afternoon games this year. According to Sports Illustrated, the league's goal is to cater to European audiences rather than to capitalize on changes in viewer behavior at home, but it still deserves props for giving the unusual scheduling a try. The Sabres are going to play 4 games on Mondays, and the Islanders as well. Obviously, they're going to be East Coast teams are going to do that. I think that's a great idea. The NBA should be right on board with that. The NBA, with a huge European market, I mean, who's the best player in the league right now? Is Wembanyama, who's from France. The Spurs should have at least a handful of games that start at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. And the NBA guys are going to chafe at that, but that makes a ton of sense. I can't believe Adam Silver, who's pretty progressive in his thinking. I mean, the NBA Cup is what it is, but that makes a ton of sense to me. NFL, it's not going to work. NFL, you play at your games on Sunday anyway. But, hey, you want MACtion to really be a thing? Why don't we play MACtion at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday? Then actually you might have students be able to go to the game rather than at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I love this idea. I think more leagues should think about it. Soccer has it because obviously the Premier League, they're playing in England, right? The Champions League is played in France, Germany, Italy, wherever. They have that monopoly. I know on a Monday or a Tuesday, especially starting in the next month, there's going to be a soccer match on. Why does soccer have to be the only ones? I can't believe baseball has not capitalized on that. And I get it. They want butts in the seats as well. Like, what do they think the crowd is going to be on May the 3rd at Target Field when school's still in session and you have, give me somebody, the Pirates coming to Target Field? It may not be that great, but for one home game out of the 81 they have, I don't know, that's probably worth the experimentation. It makes too much sense, and I can't believe here in 2020, especially the network the league has a stake in the network that they wouldn't say, you know what, we want our product out there. Why don't we do this? I don't know if that's part of the collective bargaining agreement that both sides are hemming and hawing over. But if I was the league, I'd be putting that to the union right now. Hey, we want to talk cap and all that, but also when we come back, we're going to have everybody's playing a game during the day. Maybe two of them. What's the biggest cry here for some people? We never see games out west, right? We never see the Dodgers or the Angels. Heck, we've got a team coming to Vegas in a couple years. The Diamondbacks, the Padres. Okay, let's play that game at 3 o'clock Central. That's 1 o'clock Pacific. It's not the end of the world. It makes too much sense, I thought, to maybe not happen. But I thought it was worth talking about because to me, especially for baseball, when we're pining for things in this month, in July or late June, nothing better than have a baseball game on in the middle of the day. Just my 2 cents. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll visit with the leader of the Cowboys. Jay Sawvel will join us on the maybe potential rivalry with North Dakota State. That and much more when we return on this Friday morning. Hot Mike back after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We got a little breaking news here. I'm glad that we finally now know. LeBron James has made it official that he's finally announced where he's going to play. Sham Charania from ESPN reporting that LeBron is signed with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, $8 million deal with a player option. LeBron has just tweeted out a few here as well. I'll just read a little synopsis of this. It says, I thought it was done when the season ended. I wasn't ready to announce it, and I knew I needed some time to really decide, but I was pretty sure I played my last game. I was honest at that last press conference when I said I needed to look at myself and decide if I still love this game. I still truly love the game, and I have more to give. The last few weeks have been really special. I've never been able to have no clue what to do and take real time just to think. I've had an incredible few months with all the people I love trying to figure it all out. This is my last decision. I'm not going for money. I'm not going for family. What am I really playing for at this point? I still want to sacrifice. I still want to work. I still want to grind. I still want to compete, to win, have a chance at the feeling of winning another championship. I believe I can make the Philadelphia 76ers a championship team, and I'm so excited to energize a new fan base and start this incredible journey one last time. Thank you, L.A., Miami, I'll forever love, and Northeast Ohio will always be home. So the 76ers have had quite the offseason. They got Jaylen Brown. You may have remembered that. That happened right after free agency started. They traded – the Celtics traded Jaylen Brown for Paul George. They still have Joel Embiid. I believe they have VJ Edgecombe as well. Tyrese Maxey plays on this team, and now LeBron James. Yowza. Holy cow, Philadelphia. That will be interesting. And now, speaking of Adam Silver, he can release the NBA schedule. He was waiting on LeBron's decision, so you can imagine now the 76ers to be involved on Christmas Day and every other spotlight game in the NBA when that comes out in the coming weeks. LeBron is a 76er. A little breaking news there. Okay. Appreciate us getting that in here before we got along too long. We wanted to wrap the week here. We've been hearing from the variety of the Mountain West football coaches. We've got a couple left. Today we want to end the week with the head coach at Wyoming, Jay Sawvel, who's about to enter his third season and taking over at Wyoming. He was the defensive coordinator for Craig Bohl when Craig decided to retire after the 2023 season. Tim Polisic was the offensive coordinator. Sawvel got promoted to the job as Polisic took the job at North Dakota State, and now as fate would have it, they will play against each other. October the 3rd, the Bison will be taking out Wyoming. That is homecoming here at the Fargo Dome. I had a chance to visit with Jay about Craig Bohl's legacy, what Aaron Bohl like is as a coach. He's a defensive coordinator, and his relationship with one, Tim Polisic. Here with Wyoming head coach Jay Sawvel. I know you've been browbeaten over hearing about North Dakota State, but tell me about what was working with Tim Polasek for when you guys worked together under Coach Craig Bohl.
Yeah, look, Tim and I had a great relationship. I've worked with him for 3 years there at Wyoming, and you know, a lot of times in Division I programs, you know, there's not always this kumbaya between an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. We worked very well together. Never had a you know, issue with making sure that we were on the same page and how we did things practice-wise and that type of thing there. And no, I appreciated, you know, Tim during his time, and you know, it was really good for him to get the North Dakota State head coaching job when that came open, and you know, he's a really good coach and always competitive.
Tell me about what you learned from working with Craig Bohl for as long as you did.
You know, I think with Craig Bohl, look, first of all, he's outstanding. He's outstanding in so many different ways, and one of the things that I think a lot of people, you know, don't fully realize is just how smart he is. He is an extremely intelligent man. I think one of the biggest things that translates to us at Wyoming, he was very disciplined about recruiting footprints and not, you know, okay, I know a guy here and let's chase after this player. We stayed within certain lanes, and those lanes have worked for us pretty well at Wyoming. But you know, and then I think just the ins and outs of coaching at the University of Wyoming, he continues to teach me a lot of things about, you know, people and certain people that can move the needle for us in certain ways, and he's been a big resource and still is.
Commissioner Navarro's was here yesterday. She's touting she wants the bowl to become a thing. Tell me about when you saw the schedule, like, all right, we're going to Fargo here right away. What went through your mind about that?
Yeah, I don't know who put that schedule together, but then when I saw that, right, like, we're going there, and then we're also going there for their first conference game, right? Like, so I was like, okay, whoever did this, I need to have a conversation with that person. I think a lot of things, obviously the ties of Craig Bohl, you know, add maybe a extra spice to it that way. But also, if you just look at it from a pure geographical standpoint, it makes sense, right? Like, geographical mixed with cultural. You know, North Dakota, Wyoming. All right. Well, the closest other school to North Dakota State is Northern Illinois, and culturally, I don't know that that's the same fit. I've been at Northern Illinois, and it's not. And so I just think that there's a kind of a natural tie in a new conference where you go, okay, this could develop into something in the future.
I got a chance to cover Aaron Bohl when he played linebacker at MSU Moorhead, see him get his first job there, obviously with his dad, to go from a GA to associate, you know, a position coach, to now he was your defensive coordinator. How has he developed in that role, and what does he bring that's maybe unique from his dad?
Yeah, first of all, Aaron's an outstanding coach. I mean, he's got a very he's a math major type guy. He's a very analytical mind, and I think one of the things that Aaron, you could tell, grew a great deal year one to year two was just in calling the game and in how he went into the game with his game plan on stuff, and he's an outstanding linebacker coach. You know, very, very good from a positional standpoint. But as a coordinator, he's really grown quite a bit. And I took this seriously. Coach Bohl told me, you know, when he hired me in 2020, he said, you know, look, I'm hiring you to be the defensive coordinator here. That's your number one job. Okay. He said, the side job, he goes, I kind of think my son can be a really good coach, but I want somebody that could be a good mentor or a good, you know, growth type of person for him. And so I always took that responsibly, you know, in the fact that, like, I take a great deal of pride in Aaron's growth as a coordinator, but it's really had more to do with Aaron than it had to do with me.
To see him blossom like that, though, you got to be really proud because you've had a front row seat for the last 3 years.
Oh, there's no question, and I think that I think given where we're at and what our expectation is of certain things right now is, I think we kind of feel like we could have our best defense since I've been at Wyoming this year. And, now we've got work to do, and we've got a couple areas of some inexperience. But by the same token, I think that Aaron feels that way. I feel that way. And we have Aaron's done and we have an outstanding defensive staff too. And that's been a big benefit to it too, is I'm really fortunate with the defensive staff that we have overall.
I want to talk a little recruiting. I know you coached at Minnesota. You know the upper Midwest. I know you can't speak to it. You just beat the Bison on a kid to come in for your class of 2027. How important are you going to stay in that part of the world to find players in Minnesota, Wisconsin, maybe even North Dakota, South Dakota, to get guys to come to Wyoming?
Well, I mean, when Craig Bohl was the head coach at Wyoming, like I said, one of the biggest things that he was disciplined to was holding a path for the recruiting, the footprint.
Yep.
Okay, we would be Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska. That was our local areas. We would go California and Texas, and we've branched a little into Arizona. But then we would be Chicago, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, upper Midwest.
Yep.
And that was the footprint. We weren't going east of Chicago. We weren't going to Atlanta. We weren't going to these other things. And so those areas will continue to be important for us. And, I think that obviously NDSU, one of the big advantages is people, still in high school recruiting today is that 85% of the recruits are still going to stay within a certain radius, a 350-mile radius of their home. So we would be outside of that on certain players. So, when we have the opportunity to get a player from those areas, it becomes a big deal for us. But we have to go a number of places in Wyoming. It's the least populated state in the country, and so we have to do that a little bit.
Tell me about your incoming quarterback here. You went the FCS route, which is familiar for a lot of teams here that are finding guys at the FCS that can play up. About Tyler Hughes and what he can bring to your team this fall.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Hughes, first of all, my first 2 years as a head coach, we've the frustrating thing about it is we've hit every marker that I wanted to hit in our program, academically, recruiting-wise, how we're playing defensively, all this. We haven't scored points.
Yeah.
And, when you look at it from this perspective, I'm 5-3 as a head coach at Wyoming when we score 21 points. And that's not a lot of points, 21. Okay, so we got to the middle of last season, and I made a change offensive coordinator-wise. And the reason I did it was just the vision of what I wanted us to be and the vision of what we weren't matching. And I was like, okay, I'm going to rip this down to the studs, from coordinator to some of the player parts. And, Christian Taylor was a real natural fit for me because I had talked with him prior, a couple years ago when I first became the head coach about, the job. He embraces a style of play that I think will be very successful for us at Wyoming. And then the side benefit was Tyler Hughes was a quarterback that he recruited at William and Mary. And Tyler brings a true dual threat skill set. He throws the ball very well. He's a great leader. He's very fast. And I think that that's something that is a big piece of what we needed too.
Last thing before I let you go here, I'm interested on your thoughts. You've been in the league now for a few years. You know North Dakota State. What will be maybe their welcome to the Mountain West moment in terms of, is anything a rude awakening for what they're going to experience that maybe they're not ready for in the Mountain West Conference?
Look, I don't want to say not ready for it. I think, because they've got North Dakota State's got a great program, great success. And so I think that there's two big things, though, for the North Dakota State fan base to adjust to life in the Mountain West. Number one will be a very diverse style of play from their opponents. Yeah. Like you could go play Air Force one week and it's, option run game and, and it's shortened possessions and the whole thing. And you may play San Jose the next week and they're going to throw the ball 50-some times and wide splits and everything from that standpoint, along with the fact that the travel in this conference is a real thing. Everybody looks at, going to Hawaii is not going to be like going to Southern Illinois. I can promise you that. That is a beast of a trip.
Yeah.
Multiple time zones, and then if you have to play a game coming off of that trip, that's a real thing. And so those are two things that the fans will have to adjust to a little bit. But North Dakota State is a great addition for this conference because of the success they've had, the brand that they bring, and everything that way.
Jay, thanks so much for doing this. Good luck this year. We will see you in October when the Cowboys come to town, all right?
Thank you very much.
Jay Sawvel joining us, the head coach of the Wyoming Cowboys. So Sawvel's another one on the, I wouldn't say hot seat, but much like Jeff Choate, has not won any 7-17 in his first 2 years. And he mentioned the stat on how they have really struggled scoring. Offense has been the real bugaboo for them. You saw their schedule up there during their interview. They host Hawaii, and then the following week they come here to Fargo that first week in October. The other trips they have, they go to Vegas this year in November. They get New Mexico and Laramie. I think Eck talked to us about that, about going to Laramie in November. That will be chilly. They end the season with New Mexico and Yukon as their final game of the season. There are other non-conference games at Colorado State. That was big. They wanted to keep that game on the schedule. It's a rivalry game. Home for Northern Colorado and at Central Michigan. So they have an FCS game with a bad Big Sky team because Northern Colorado's not good, and they have a matchup with a MAC school. They'll go to Mount Pleasant in Central Michigan this year. We have two more to do. Ken Niumatalolo from San Jose State and Rob Harley from Northern Illinois. We'll have those next week on Monday and Tuesday, respectively, and that'll wrap up our interviews from the head coaches of getting to know them, the new coaches in the Mountain West Conference. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll wrap things up again. LeBron James is heading to Philadelphia to play with the 76ers. More on that, and we'll get you ready for a great sports weekend when Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here for the week. Holy cow, we're already done for another week here in July. We'll be back with you on Monday to recap the weekend. We'll see how the Twins fare with the A's, and we're back on Monday. It'll officially be fall camp opening up, so we'll be diving into that. Looking forward to that. The governor of the great state of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, just announced that July 24th will officially be named LeBron James Day. Pennsylvania is honored to welcome LeBron James to our Commonwealth as he joins the Philadelphia 76ers for his best season yet. So there you have it. I'm sure that'll be dominating. This is like pennies from heaven for these sports networks to get. We don't have NFL yet, so to be given this on a Friday, my goodness, they are dining out on that. They've got topics now and content to take them all the way to Monday. They don't have to worry about showing CFL highlights now. They've got this to talk about over the next little bit. So we deliver the news. That's about as far as we're going to go on that. But we'll be back next week, and we'll see what now. Hopefully the schedule will be out, and the Wolves now fully know they've got to find a power forward after the trading of Naz Reid and moving on with Julius Randle for what they did earlier on in the offseason. We got a lot to get to. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, what to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. We do two on Fridays to get you ready for not only today but the weekend. So we've got A's and Twins tonight, 7 o'clock on Twins TV as they open up a 3-game set there. The 3M Open coverage gets going at 3 o'clock on the Golf Channel. And for you track nerds, the USA Track Championships are underway in New York City, of all places. At 5 o'clock tonight on Peacock. The 100-meter dash is tonight. It's about 6:45 if you want to watch that. Noah Lyles, the reigning Olympic champion, will be racing in that about 6:45. This weekend, the WNBA All-Star Game is tomorrow night, 7:30, right here on WDAY. Looking forward to seeing the 3 Minnesota Lynx be represented in the game. The 3M Open final round is Sunday at 2 on CBS. And for our guy Eric, the Brickyard 400, Sunday at 1 o'clock on TNT. Thanks to our guests today, to Easton Holland, to Cory Provus, and to Jay Sawvel. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Stay cool, everybody out there. Be smart as well. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.